Hey everyone, it's Dan. Welcome to the lab, and today I'll be doing a deck profile for the Zero Contract deck. So this is the Zero Partner Wiz. She has an effect similar to Guts where for each count you have, she gets an increase in cost, and when you contract Advent over her, you get to add one Call from Void to herself, and you destroy an opposing burst. Yeah, so with that in mind, being able to nuke off all the far roams in the world is very good. So, which is why the deck doesn't have Spritzer. So let's move on to what we want to be doing here. So first is we have our 2 copies of Thor. Thor is our main finisher. He can sense cards to bottom deck. He can also negate magics that the opponent uses before the effect resolves by destroying one spirit with the same or higher cost of the magic being used. So that kind of solidifies the win condition that the deck already has, which is, as a white deck, is to restand and swing again for many times in a row. So that's why we have 2 copies of Thor. Our alternate finisher here is actually the Zero Fencer Wiz, which is the secret right here. The reason why she is also another alternate finisher is that on Corin, so you can stack her at 3 counts or more during your turn, you get +2 count, and then you can open the top 5 of cards of your deck to add as many cost 4 and below Braves as possible, and then you discard the rest. So it's why we run the 3 copies of 4 Answer, of course, because 4 Answer is the extra Brave that is meant to be tied to Wiz. And we also run the other Searching Zero Contract Brave. Now, if you guys have access to the V-Jump promo that recently came out, which is like a spear, blue looking spear, it kind of does the same thing as this guy, but he has 1 symbol and he can open 1 more card if your counters is like 6 or higher, which is what the deck wants to filter out your contract Corins, like your Wiz, even the Tashkani for certain scenarios, and more Zero Fences, Wiz, and most importantly your Thor. So that's why for now we are running 3 of this, but if I have the V-Jump promo, I'll probably change it out. So for supports, we also run 3 copies of the Rutia burst from BS63. The reason why Rutia is here is because as an on-attack burst, to gain 3 count when I have a Wiz in a pre-advent condition or a live Wiz basically, it speeds the deck up by a lot to reach the OC10 for this Wiz, and also to reach Thor as quickly as possible, because in the contract era a lot of decks like to swing. So having her to bump the count and bounce opposing spirit or ultimate for top deck. So it removes ultimates as well, means it's good against Javad. Javad doesn't usually run Spritzer, so your Rutia can open fine. On block, she also can open top 3 to swap a white only spirit card to your hand. So you basically exchange 1 card in your hand for a white spirit that was opened by Rutia. So with her being a silver 0 card as well, cards like the Over High Priestess here can be set for free when it's opened by a silver 0 or Astral Blazer family effect. With that in mind, we also run 3 copies of Artemic Shield because it's one of the best white defense spells that can be easily searched. So if we have Shiratori Yu, we would play Shiratori Yu, because again, opening cards for your Tashkanis, your cost 4 stuff that you run, like the fish, although maybe the fish may be the first thing to come out if I do get my hands on Shiratori Yu. Most importantly is to find more copies of Wiz, because the defense magic here, Bravery Barrier, wants you to have more Wiz on board so that you put more cards from the top of your deck into your open zone to act as shields in a sense, because the barrier effect is given to each card in the open zone that was sent by this effect. They hit you for 1 damage, you can take 1 card back to hand to reduce the damage by 1, so on and so forth. So it's why we also have 3 copies of this Bravery Barrier. It can also return to hand with Excite, which is the new mechanic that the Zero Contract has. When your Zero Contract spirits reduces your opponent's life, if your count is at that amount or higher, you can return the card back to hand. Although you cannot have 2 copies proccing at the same time because you cannot stack, but you can repeatedly return 1 copy back each time, and with enough cost you can stack your barrier. However, the limitation with this spell is that you only can have a maximum of 3 cards in your open zone face down as your barrier, so that is something to take note. We also have our 3 Tashkanis, the best early game advent we can ask for, because it technically allows you to spawn almost anything in your deck on the first turn. Because you have this Brave, you have Wiz, you have the Fish, and you have 4 Answer. So the best hits is definitely of course the 4 Answer and the other Brave, because they extend to give you more cards, and 4 Answer can, you know, lead you to win cons faster, because when you have 6 count or more, you gain a symbol, and if you're at 7 counts or more on attack, you can refresh. So it's basically a crown solder in some senses, which is very strong. But it's only meant for the Zero Contract / Silver Zero archetype. So that is something to take note. 4 Answer is at 3 also because it has the Engage ability, although it's once per game, but you want to be able to see 4 Answer often enough to draw 4 and discard 2 with the Engage effect. And having more copies of Crown Solder, of course, is good. And it's searchable via this cost 5, which opens 5 to find a Zero Contract family card, which is basically all the advents plus Wiz. And it allows you to add a cost 4 and below card from the cards they open back to hand. So again, cost 4, cost 4, cost 4 and less, cost 4 and less, cost 4 and less. So there's a lot of targets here that you open, search, and add back to hand. At the same time, he has Excite 5, which is good so that you can keep looping his search. If you have Thaw out, basically you have a target for your Blizzard Walls and Diamond Walls and barriers, because this guy is cost 5. So it's a sack target for Thaw mostly, and when the Thaw hits in, you can get it back, so it's repeated guarantee of your finishing combo. We run 3 copies of this fish because it gives you free count and core. It's very straightforward, and Excite 3 means you can ditch this card with 4 Answer and then eventually get it back to use its unsummon effect. 3 copies of the Zero Fencer with the cost 6 one, because it can advent. Treating Soul Core being sent to trash means you can have your Soul Core in trash and still stack this card on your Wiz to give you more bodies or to try and extend plays depending on scenarios. It also can block while exhausted, and it has armor to red, purple, and what's the last one? Green. Red, purple, green, or red, purple, blue? Sorry, purple, green, yellow. It has armor to purple, green, and yellow. Tashkani has blue and purple, ultra armor. Then 4 Answer gives contract armor, red and purple. So anything red and purple can't really touch you unless they can pierce, which is a lot of what the red cards can do nowadays. So technically the armor doesn't matter, but for the aggressive end, when you're going in, yeah, red doesn't have a lot of can't be prevented stuff to pierce this, so that's why again 4 Answers at 3. Next, last but not least, we have our 3 copies of Riskgrad and the 1 spicy tech of Genmajin, because more ultra armor is always good in this era, because we are seeing Javad running left, right and center. Riskgrad, during your main step, is treated as 3 symbols on board at level 1, and when you summon a white spirit and you have a white contract spirit, you gain 1 count. So it helps Wiz with a curve, because Wiz is 2 - 2, so technically going first, you can deploy Riskgrad, summon Wiz, and pass with 4 symbols on board if they don't deal with the Wiz. If they deal with the Wiz, you have 3 behind and the Wiz ready to become any of the other advents. And getting 1 count from the initial on summon means that if you go second, you can attack, summon, gain 1, attack, gain 2, and then go into this ways to search for your graves, which is the fastest way you can get to your Thor win con basically, because Thor wants 6 and more counters, and with that alone, this combo alone is 5 counts. You just need like 1 fish to solve the rest of your problems. So yeah, that's the deck in a nutshell. Hope you guys like this video. If you do, hit that like and subscribe button, ring that bell as well so you can have the latest notifications whenever I post my new videos. Especially with BS64 coming out, I have so many deck ideas to share. And stay tuned because I'll be probably following up with Frau's list. But it's a bit of a twist because I don't entirely like the flower contract too much, but I have something really spicy, so I hope you guys enjoyed this Wiz profile and I'll see you again in the next one. Janne!